Director of Castle Street Hospital, Dr. Ajit Dantanarayan, said that the previous scans showed the presence of 5 infants. However, he said they detected the presence of another baby prior to the delivery. Neonatal pediatrician Dr. LBC Saman Kumara said that the infants are currently in life support. He pointed out that the lives of the infants are still at risk. However, he said that they have been able to provide the best treatment to their babies with availability of equipment and the necessary medication. Neonatal pediatrician Dr. LBC Saman Kumara revealed a attended the childbirth which should be shared with the society. Neonatal pediatrician said that under the in vitro fertilization, usually 2 fertilized eggs are being placed in the uterus during treatment. However, he said that since there is no regulation, more than 2 fertilized eggs are being placed, resulting in birth of multiple infants at one birth, risking the lives of children. He said that such births are not only risky but also a burden for the parents, who are most often from low-income families. Dr. Saman Kumara further indicated the need for a regulation in fertility treatment to provide and prevent such risks. President Ranil Wickremesinghe invited Chinese entrepreneurs to view Sri Lanka as a strategic hub for emerging green and digital economic ventures, highlighting the nation's advancement in this domain.
The President made these remarks while addressing an investment, trade and tourism forum held in Beijing. This forum, hosted at the Sri Lanka Embassy in Beijing yesterday, was graced by the presence of representatives from a multitude of Chinese companies and Sri Lankan business leaders. Addressing the Chinese business community, President Wickremesinghe underscored Sri Lanka's unique geographic advantage, positioning it as a gateway to Western markets within the broader Asian region. The President expressed the country's strong desire to engage amicably with global economic powerhouses and reaffirmed his commitment to rebuilding Sri Lanka's economy. The President underscored the need to enhance the political, economic and cultural ties between Sri Lanka and Indonesia by reinforcing the Indian Ocean's identity during an official meeting with Indonesian President Joko Widodo in Beijing today. During the meeting, the 2 leaders engaged in extensive discussions on further strengthening political, cultural and economic ties between the 2 countries. Furthermore, they deliberated on the implications of the economic crisis and the palm oil ban on the trade activities connecting the 2 nations. President Wickremesinghe highlighted Sri Lanka's ongoing efforts to establish free trade agreements with various Asian countries and to formalize the existing agreement with India. President Wickremesinghe and Pakistan Prime Minister Anwarul Haq Kakar engaged in bilateral discussions in Beijing this afternoon. This meeting took place on the sidelines of the One Belt One Road International Conference in China. During their meeting, both leaders emphasized the global imperative of cultivating a harmonious society free from animosity, prejudice and anger arising from racial, religious or ethnic differences. Subsequently, President Wickremesinghe and the Pakistani Prime Minister engaged in an extensive discourse concerning the economic crisis that affected both Pakistan and Sri Lanka, with a particular focus on strategies for recovery. Moreover, the leaders deliberated on the critical developments unfolding in the Gaza Strip, and in this regard, a consensus was reached to issue a joint statement reflecting their common stance on the matter. Senior Vice President of Huawei Technologies, Simon Lin, announced his company's readiness to support an annual study program aimed at nurturing software and hardware engineers in Sri Lanka. He made these remarks when President Wickremesinghe led Sri Lankan delegation embarked on an observational tour of Huawei company in China. President Wickremesinghe highlighted his visit's purpose, which is to discuss Sri Lanka's future. He emphasized the crucial role of both the Chinese government and Huawei in supporting Sri Lanka's digital education system and green energy production. President Wickremesinghe stressed the need for Sri Lanka to build a competitive digital and green economy to face the challenges of the future. He noted that the foundational work for this transformation is already underway. The discussions extended to the importance of empowering Sri Lankan citizens with digital technology, which is closely linked to the nation's economic growth. The Sri Lankan delegation was also briefed on Huawei's international services and their latest technological advancements, and additionally, an agreement was signed during this visit, formalizing Huawei's support for the digitization of Sri Lankan schools.
The Sri Lankan migrant worker who was killed by Hamas militants has been identified by Israeli security forces. The Israeli government has informed Sri Lankan embassy in Israel that the relevant measures will be arranged to hand over the remains of the female migrant worker within the next 2 days. Ambassador of Sri Lanka to Israel, Nimal Bandara, said that the Interpol had informed this morning that the migrant worker named Anula Ratnayaka Jayathilaka, a resident of area Vetia in Kalania, was deemed to be disappeared during the following attack launched by Hamas militants on October 7th, has been killed. He has said that the body of the deceased Sri Lankan will be handed over to the embassy within 2 days. He added that they have also conducted a forensic investigation in this regard. However, he said that the embassy will also conduct a forensic investigation as well. The ambassador said that there are 17 Sri Lankans belonging to 3 families currently in Gaza, and they have moved to the southern area of the Strip from the Hamas detained region. He also said plans are under motion to quickly relocate them to Egypt from the southern region. He added that the necessary instructions have been issued through Foreign Ministry to the embassy in preparation for the necessary visas for the Sri Lankans. More than 70 people have been killed on their homes after Israel conducted air raids on Gaza's Khan Yunis, Rafah Deir and El Batha.
The deaths came overnight today after Israel started its retaliation against the deadly attacks on southern Israel by Hamas, the armed group that rules Gaza. The violence has killed at least 1,400 people in Israel and more than 2,800 in Gaza since October 7th. Many of those killed in the latest Israeli air raids were those evacuated from Gaza City and northern part of the Gaza Strip as ordered by Israel. Thousands of people in Gaza have gathered at the Rafah border crossing with Egypt as diplomatic efforts continue to open it before Israel starts its expected ground operation. But the United Nations said no progress has been made yet in negotiations on reopening of the crossing. Cairo has blamed Israel for not cooperating over the humanitarian corridor. Meanwhile, all routes out of Gaza have been closed as Israel continues its airstrikes in the region. US President Joe Biden expected to make a high-stakes visit to Israel tomorrow, marking a significant show of US support for its top Middle East ally. Israel continues to prepare to escalate an offensive against the Hamas fighters, setting off a humanitarian crisis in Gaza while raising fears of a border conflict with Iran. Iran's foreign minister has said Israel will not be allowed to act in the Gaza Strip without consequences and warned of preemptive action in the coming hours. In Gaza, hospitals were on the verge of losing electricity, threatening the lives of thousands of patients, and hundreds and thousands of Palestinians displaced from their homes searched for bread. More than a week after Israel cut off entry of any supplies, all eyes were on the Rafah crossing, Gaza's only connection to Egypt. The UN is again pleading for aid agencies to gain access to Gaza and warning of possible war crimes.
Hundreds of families here at a UN.
Now, the current ongoing situation between Israel and Palestine is bound to have global consequences. To speak about this, we have brought onto the studio our very own senior journalist, Mr. Prasad Dodangodage of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. Mr. Dodangodage, welcome to the studio. What is the current situation in the Middle East region?
Yeah, especially now, as 11 days passed since the attack conducted by Hamas on Israel, one of the biggest military campaigns launched by Hamas in its history. Now we could see several other fronts have also been opened. One is the diplomatic front. We lengthily discussed yesterday about the diplomatic efforts by various parties in this region. And at the same time, today we saw Hamas launch a massive propaganda campaign. With that campaign, we could see they are trying to paint a very humanitarian picture on them. They released a video of one of the young Israeli female hostage under their captivity. And in that video, Hamas showed that the Hamas medics were treating that girl, and later there was a statement by that hostage mentioning that she was taken care or very humanly by Hamas group, and then she requested Israel to save them with efforts, the sincere efforts, and the way that she expressed these things, that we could see Hamas is also trying to gather public support from public support through the world community. Now, there are several key factors we could see in this crisis. The main issue is the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. Now, we saw that last Friday, Israel ordered Palestinians, 1.1 million Gaza citizens who are living in the northern Gaza area, to leave that area to the southern part of the Gaza Strip, asking them to be safe from the Israel military campaign that they were anticipating to launch. However, today we saw Israel launch 2 air attacks on southern Gaza also. 70 people were killed, as we saw in the previous news item, and those 2 attacks were pointed towards Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip, and the Rafah border crossing, the area very close to the Rafah border crossing, where most of the civilians are waiting to exit the Gaza Strip to go towards the Sinai Desert and Egypt. So, with these type of attacks, the public anger, the global public anger against Israel is growing, and that's why the United States of America launched a massive diplomatic campaign to stabilize the region and to avoid any escalation, further escalation of clashes in this region due to this ongoing military campaign. Now, President Joe Biden will visit Israel tomorrow. It was a very sudden and quickly planned visit. We saw United States of America with the support of their Secretary of State Anthony Blinken launch a massive diplomatic campaign, and he visited many countries in the region and tried to calm them, try to muster the support for the cause of Israel and the United States. And at the same time, the United States of America is very keen on the moves by Iran. Iran actually issued one of the very severe and very stern warnings against Israel. Israel, now, according to the Iran's warning issued yesterday, if Israel launched that much anticipated ground offensive, Iran says Israel has to face very severe consequences. So that statement we cannot take lightly, because Iran is a key player in this region. Now, we have to take into account the behavior of the external actors in this region, especially Iran and the other Arabic countries, as well as the global power United States of America. Those are the key external actors. So, Iran is very active in this region. Now, we could see Iran here, and their power, they have their power here in Syria and in northern Lebanon, southern Lebanon through Hezbollah guerrillas, and in Gaza through Hamas. So, Iran support all these groups in the region and all these groups are very active against Israel. So if this situation escalates further, the Iran military campaign will be a decisive one, because that will lead to a very big, very disastrous regional military campaign that affect the global economy, because we know this is the global powerhouse, the key area that provides energy to the whole world. So it will be now everything depends on the moves of Iran and Israel, as well as the other players who are engaged in this severe and very disastrous conflict.
Thank you very much for that very detailed update on the current situation in the region, and also what happens in terms of the global situation as well with regards to the concern. So thank you so much, Mr. Prasad, for joining us. And we continue with more news, and this time over it's on some cricket updates. Sri Lanka cricket has lifted the international cricket ban imposed on Danushka Gunatilaka. Sri Lanka cricket made the official announcement in this regard today. Danushka Gunatilaka was taken into custody during the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2022 in Australia over sexual abuse allegations. Subsequently, he was acquitted from all charges. Sri Lanka cricket took these measures based on the recommendations of the Independent Inquiry Committee. Accordingly, Danushka Gunatilaka will now be able to engage in all cricket activities following the lifting of the ban. He also has the opportunity to join the national squad as well. The recommendations have been approved during the Executive Committee meeting of Sri Lanka Cricket.
The Met Department says the prevailing rain condition in the country is expected to increase and will continue for the next 2 days. The intertropical convergence zone, where winds from the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere converge, is affecting the weather situation in the country. Accordingly, the Met Department has indicated that due to the influence, the current rain condition in the country is expected to continue. Many roads in Colombo City were inundated this morning due to heavy showers. Accordingly, overflowing in Maradana area resulted in inundation of several roads. The Buttala Katharagama road has also been inundated due to heavy showers. A flood situation occurred in the area following heavy showers which prevailed last evening. The vehicular movement along the road was also hampered due to the inundation. Meanwhile, paddy cultivation in Mathura district has also been heavily affected due to overflowing of Nilwala river. Reports have indicated that around 30,000 acres of paddy fields in Kadduwa, Karagoda Uyangoda, Narangala, Kithalgama, Kapuduwa and Galboda have been affected from the floods. The National Building Research Organisation, speaking at a media briefing held today, said that the landslide warnings issued thus far will remain effective.
Ali Zahir Maulana, a former state minister, was sworn in as a member of parliament today before the speaker. He was appointed to filling the vacant seat of former minister Nazir Ahmed. Following a court order, former Minister Nazir Ahmed was removed from the Muslim Congress recently. Accordingly, Minister Nazir Ahmed's position as a member of parliament was abolished and Ali Zahir Maulana has been appointed for the vacant seat. Meanwhile, views were shared over the easing of the import restrictions in the parliament today. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that they requested the chairmanship of this committee should be decided by the opposition in order to recognize the select committee. Former President Maithripala Sirisena said that the parliament speaker was requested not to allow the parties decide the members for the committee. He said that such move would lead to fulfill certain political aspirations of these parties.
විශේෂයෙන්ම පෞද්ගලිකව මම පිළිබඳව දැඩි වෛරයෙන්, ක්‍රෝධයෙන්, ද්වේෂයෙන් කතා කරන වැඩ කරන කීප දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා.
මම විශ්වාස කරනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ
Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that by establishing a parliamentary select committee, parliamentarians will be able to submit the facts and documents discussed in the parliament to committee. He said that there were new revelations made by several parliamentarians on the Sunday Easter attacks. He said that the relevant select committee will be able to consider these observations and findings. However, he said that the keen interest of the government is to find those who are accountable for Sunday Easter attack.
පාරේ පිළිබඳව අපි හැමෝම ඉන්න ස්ථාවරය තමයි මේක කරපු මිනිස්සුන්ට නඩුවක් දෙන්න ඕනේ.
The resolution to appoint a select committee to probe the allegations made through the documentary program broadcast by Channel 4 was presented in Parliament today. Meanwhile, the Committee on Public Accounts, which is considered as one of the oldest committees in the Parliament, completed 100 years today. A debate in this regard was held in the Parliament today. State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawana is the current chair of the committee. State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawana said that despite the committee, they only have to investigate and submit the report to the Parliament. The Parliament has the authority to pass and implement the recommendations of the report, he added. The State Minister said that whether the recommendations to be sent to the Attorney General for further steps, he highlighted that even though committees submit their reports, further measures have not been implemented by the Parliament.
The United National Party trade union representatives convened a media briefing at the Sirikota Party headquarters today over a special party conference. Director General of President's Trade Union Affairs, Saman Ratnapriya, said that certain individuals who spread fake news and rumors through social media and recognize themselves as journalists. He said such instances are not creating a favorable environment for journalists, journalism and country. He added that there were instances in the past where false and misleading news published and shared through social media.
A public debate organized by the National Campaign for a Fair Society under the theme Executive Presidency and Electoral Reforms was held yesterday at the Foundation Institute. Parliamentarians, including Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, social activists and representatives of various institutions were present on this occasion. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that the recent past, people were killed, properties were destroyed and a president stepped down. He said that they can continue to chant such slogans for another 10 years, but lives of the people will not improve or prosper. He said that they have to talk about the steps to be taken in future for the betterment of this country. He added that some parties have requested to hold an election, and if an election is to be conducted, the same people will come into power as in the past. He pointed out that activists wish for a system change and the government has delivered. A live ammunition was detected in the body of elephant Maharagama Sita today.
The ammunition was detected during a surgery following a court order. Several pieces of metal were detected from the elephant during an earlier surgery. The elephant, known as Maharagama Sita, was shot on the last 30th while it was tied near the Mahavali River after taking part in the Mahayangana Perahara. The Wildlife Department informed the elephant was shot using rubber bullets. A civil defense officer attached to the Wildlife Department was produced before the courts over the incident and he was released on bail on the following day. During the initial surgery conducted on the elephant, a few pieces of metal were detected from the elephant. Subsequently, the elephant was taken into the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine from the Peradeniya University for further treatment. Accordingly, the surgery of the elephant was conducted following a court order where a group of veterinarians led by Professor Ashoka Dangola were able to detect a live ammunition inside the elephant. Instructions had been made to issue the Airport and Aviation Services Limited authorities to enhance the passenger terminal facilities at Palali International Airport. The relevant instructions were issued by Minister Nimal Sripada De Silva. The minister issued the instructions while taking part in a special inspection visit at the airport yesterday. Presently, the Alliance Air operates a flight to Palali Airport from Chennai carrying about 60 passengers on a daily basis. India's Indigo airline is also scheduled to initiate flights between Chennai and Palali in the near future. In addition to the international connections, domestic flights and 4 aircrafts from DP Aviation departing from Ratmalana Airport and 4 flights from Cinnamon Air departing from Katnaik International Airport are currently being operated on a weekly basis. Attention was directed on the need for substantial improvements in both the arrival and departure terminals at the Palali Airport. Officials have estimated the upgrades will require a cost of approximately 200 million rupees. The proposed initiative encompasses a comprehensive enhancement for the airport infrastructure, including an expansion of the existing passenger terminals, the construction of a duty-free shopping complex, enhancements on sanitary facilities, and improved facilities for immigration and custom officials at the airport.
Let's now take a look at several local news items in brief. Nuwara District Consumer Affairs Authority office has issued fines worth more than 11.4 million rupees from the raids carried out during this year. A total of 557 raids have been conducted thus far. Legal actions have been taken against the vendors who have committed offences. A wild elephant had died from electrocution after getting touched with an electric fence erected to protect the cultivations in Manavila area in Ampara. Residents of the area said that herds of wild elephants from Maduroya and Waskamo National Park visit the area on a daily basis. Sri Lankan Airlines has commenced as the leading international airlines in South Asia. They received the award at the South Asia Travel Awards held in Bangalore recently. Former Inspector General of Police Victor Pereira passed away yesterday. He was 75 years of age at his demise. He was the 30th Inspector General of Police of Sri Lanka Police. The remains are kept at his residence in Panadura. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa paid his last respects to the remains of the late IGP.
Customs have taken 2 containers of beedi leaves imported in a guise of coriander after paying 300,000 rupees in taxes instead of 70 million rupees into custody. Acting Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that the known professional has attempted to influence the release of the containers. The containers imported from India consisted of 11,460 kilograms of beedi leaves. Accordingly, a levy of 70 million rupees had to be paid to release the consignment. Since the consignment was imported as coriander, the levy which had been paid was 300,000 rupees. Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya engaged in inspections to inquire into the consignment of the beedi leaves.
Veteran film producer Buddhi Kirtisena has bid adieu to the nation. He was 83 years of age at his demise. Producing many films, including Ayo Obatabarai and Sujata films, late Buddhi Kirtisena pioneered in taking the local craft of batik to the international stage. He was also the former chairman of the National Craft Council. He was also the father of award-winning film director and producer Buddhi Kirtisena. The remains of the late Kirtisena will be taken to his residence in number 158/3 Lake Drive, Colombo tomorrow. The remains will be kept at the residence in Koswadia from October 19th until the afternoon of October 21st. The final rites will be held at the Koswadia Cemetery at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Well, that's it on local news. We'll be back with news overseas.
நான் பேங்க் போயிட்டு வரேன்.
இப்ப ஃபுல் ஃப்ரீடமுடன் சிங் என்று பேங்கிங் செய்ய உங்க லைஃபுக்கு செட் ஆகிற நெக்ஸ்ட் ஜென் இன் டிஜிட்டல் பேங்கிங் பார்ட்னர் பீப்புள்ஸ் பேங்க்.
Moving on to news overseas, Greece's Coast Guard said that 2 men reported missing after a migrant dinghy sank off the coast of an eastern Greek island Monday were found alive, bringing the total number of survivors to 10. The bodies of a woman and 2 men had been recovered earlier from the sea after the dinghy sank overnight off the coast of the small island of Symi, which lies near Turkey. Survivors told authorities the boat had been carrying a total of 13 people. Although no further people were reported to be missing, the Coast Guard said it would continue a search and rescue operation in the area for several hours.
Now the sports news, look at the cricketing world. The World Cup is ongoing and Sri Lanka lost their third consecutive match in the ICC Men's World ODI World Cup, and the match was played against Australia.
Plenty of batting in the Sri Lanka.
The match was played in Lucknow, and batting first, Sri Lanka scored 209 runs for their innings. Even though the openers managed to provide a solid start for the Sri Lankan innings, a sudden topple in the middle order restricted the score to 209 runs. Australia chased down the target of 210 runs with 5 wickets in hand.
Oh, that's close.
The second match between Sri Lanka and Yemen under the FIFA qualifying rounds was ended in a draw. Yemen won the first match by 3-0. The second match was played at the Racecourse grounds in Colombo. Sri Lanka managed to draw the match in the second half with a goal from captain Charita Ratnayaka. Accordingly, Sri Lanka lost the opportunity to qualify for the FIFA World Cup following the defeat.
That's it for tonight's English News telecast. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.